G'day guys and gal. When the Primaris Marines were unveiled, their creator, Belisarius Cawl, promised that they were obscenely stable, much more so than the Firstborn Marines, as loyal as a Custodian or a Grey Knight. Well, that was a fucking lie. Although the Primaris were notably more stable than Firstborn, they are still prone to all the GNC defects and confused loyalties, as there has been numerous cases of Wolfen Primaris, Black Rage Primaris, and now even Traitor Primaris. However, I wanted to take a good look at the Traitor Primaris Marines today. What caused them to fall? Are there now Traitor Primaris warbands, and could the Primaris end up being a huge asset for the traders? Before we get started, with the wonders of modern science and advanced supplementation, it's never been easier to be healthy. As such, I founded a supplement company called Natty Plus with the sole purpose of making supplements that actually work and are actually proven to work on your blood work biomarkers, whilst also removing the shit part of supplementation, like having to take dozens of capsules from all these different bottles and never actually knowing if they're doing anything, or if you've picked the right dose in the right bioavailable form. Instead of just running you through the many success stories and blood work before and afters we've got, or running you through the science behind why each of our supplements works so damn well, I just thought I'd have some fun and go through some comments on my videos that ask about the supplements, or they talk some smack, or they have their own experience. I bought the Natty Plus testosterone booster and it helped me get morning wood again. Thanks buddy, 41 years old and on medication, so that shit's not common anymore. No worries mate, it is my sworn duty to ensure my viewers get as many erections as possible by any means necessary. Lol, the old herbal testosterone scam. I'll just clump this in with all the other comments saying things like snake oil or scam. I'm the first to call out useless supplements that do nothing. That is half the reason why I made Natty Plus. However, all you need to do is actually look up our ingredients, look at the studies, or look at the before and the afters of the blood work we have on the website, taken from our own human trials and our customer results, and you'd know. Or you can also just keep your head in the sand. Testosterone booster, really? Any meta research papers to back up this claim? Yes, a lot. We literally have a learn page on the website which links each ingredient to a corresponding study regarding its efficacy and use. If you order the test booster, you may want to go 2 or 3 times. I'm on my second round of them. First one made me feel a few years younger. This time around, it's turning me into a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. I feel like I'm in my 20s again. This shit is strong, to the point where it feels like a new formula. Having healthy testosterone levels makes you feel amazing. The longer you maintain these levels, the more time the testosterone has to work its magic on your body, so the results get continually better. Okay, why should I worry about testosterone? You said I lack it, but never stated why I should care. Fair question, I just assumed everyone knew. Low testosterone increases fat gain, lowers muscle gain, lowers confidence, lowers energy, decreases mental health, reduces libido and sexual performance, reduces bone density, increases risk of diabetes and heart disease, alongside many other issues. If you have chronically low testosterone, you will die notably earlier than if you had healthy testosterone. I think I've said enough. Link below to check out the range. Use code Majorkill for 20% off. Today we'll go over each time a Primaris Marine or Marines have betrayed the Imperium. Let's get into it. Okay, first off, why are the Primaris Marines generally more stable and less prone to fall into chaos or GNC defects? After all, their main differences from their Firstborn is their 2 new GNC organs, neither of which increase chaos resistance, as well as their new war gear, which also doesn't increase chaos resistance. Well, honestly, it's mostly just context and training. When the heresy first broke out, chaos was a secretive, insidious force that slowly corrupted those who were too ignorant to realize its danger. Likewise, Marines were trained to be brave and loyal, but they were not trained to resist chaos. However, when the Primaris were made, their training was extremely hardcore in resisting chaos and controlling their emotions and impulses. Likewise, the modern day chaos that the Imperium faces is a very mask-off, clear-cut chaos. It's hell, demons, and assholes. The time for subterfuge is long gone. So it's not just some magical Primaris pill that makes them more stable, it's more so that the Imperium's greatest living scientist had 10,000 years to prepare his Primaris to face chaos, so they were much more prepared for it. Likewise, the Primaris all fought as a united army under Guilliman when they first awoke. Those battles forge unbreakable bonds to each other, Guilliman and the Imperium. So what I'm saying is that it would take a lot for a Primaris to fall after all of that, yet it has still happened. The first example I want to speak of, which is extremely controversial, I remember people wanted to fucking kill each other over this one and the debates surrounding it, but it is quite interesting lore. A force of Primaris Grey Shields, which were basically just Primaris that were not assigned to a chapter yet, were en route to reinforce the Brazen Drakes and provide them with the technology to create more Primaris. This force was led by a contingent of Custodians and Sisters of Silence. This was common, with hundreds of such forces spread out across the Imperium in order to provide the Primaris to every single loyalist chapter they could reach. However, what was uncommon is that when these Primaris and Custodians arrived at the Brazen Drakes' homeworld, they found it embroiled in a civil war, with a notification that the Inquisition had labelled the Drakes as heretics. See, the Great Rift had caused rapid psychic mutation within the Brazen Drake chapter, with their chapter master culling afflicted warriors. However, eventually he couldn't bear to do it anymore and decided this chapter had done enough for the Imperium and that they deserved independence. Naturally, a big chunk of the chapter rebelled and the two sides fought. Upon seeing this, this, the Custodian shield captain in charge ordered the Primaris Grey Shields, who were basically Primaris Brazen Drakes, to lay down their weapons and go into his custody, despite them technically having done nothing wrong. The Primaris began to argue, saying that they were loyal and that they should go down and help the still loyal firstborn Brazen Drakes on the planet, saving the chapter's honor. The Custodian again said, "I don't like repeating myself, hand over your weapons and submit yourself for judgment." The Brazen Drakes again continued to argue, saying that this was unfair, so the Custodian did what any reasonable Custodian would do. He blew the nearest Primaris Drake's head clean off. The captain of the Primaris Brazen Drakes then said into his Vox, "All battle brothers, treat anyone outside the chapter as hostile, seize the fleet." Which, yeah, not exactly the most loyal statement a man can make. The Custodians and Sisters engaged the Primaris in battle, all of the Primaris seemingly okay with this turn of events. The shield captain rips through them, slaughtering all in his path as well as killing the captain. He then spends the next while purging each ship of Primaris Brazen Drakes, whilst on the planet below, the Traitor Brazen Drakes defeat the Loyalists and escape off-world, eventually becoming a Chaos warband called the Shriven. They would eventually fall into the service of Fabius Bile before being hunted down and annihilated by the very same Custodian shield captain who slaughtered the Primaris Brazen Drakes. But who was actually in the wrong here? Was the Custodian being an unreasonable asshole, or were the Drakes actually heretics? Even the Primaris ones? Well, it's a little bit of both, but I'm actually Team Custodian here, which, you know, what a fucking surprise. See, the Custodians speak with the Emperor's authority. All Space Marines know this. To disobey a Custodian is to disobey the Emperor. The Custodian actually allowed the Space Marines to have one free opportunity to argue, so he was being generous. It was only when they continued to refuse the order did he declare them traitors and kill them. Likewise, the fact that the Space Marines' first instinct was to betray the Imperium and go renegade when the shooting started rather than instantly submit shows the Custodian was right. The Custodian did not say hand over your weapons and be executed. It was much more of a, okay, I'm not really sure what's going on here, but your gene seed may be compromised, you will be detained until the threat is assessed. However, an even more dramatic fall of thousands of Primaris Marines happened very recently and has a fair amount of lore implications. Basically, Crusade Quartus, one of the main Indominus fleets, which made up around 10% of the Imperium's total military strength, was fighting against the forces of Chaos and trying to protect the Coral Engine, basically a mini Astronomicon that was proving to be extremely important for the Imperials on Imperium Nihilus, the dark side of the Imperium. However, despite their best efforts, Angron was able to fight his way through them and smash the Coral Engine, unleashing an ungodly amount of psychic energy that was infused with the raw power of Khorne. This release of energy ascended Khorne to become the mightiest of the Chaos Gods, and in doing so, allowed him to inflict the murder curse upon almost the entirety of Quartus, even the elements that were not present at the battle. The murder curse is basically an affliction that turns you insane and makes you attack everything around you. It can also cause mutation and is extremely hard to resist. Thousands of Primaris Marines and even Sisters of Battle, billions of guardsmen and navy troopers instantly fell to Khorne and began butchering each other. Only the Custodes, Sisters of Silence, and Grey Knights were able to reliably resist the curse. However, now they had to fight their way through their fallen allies. Very few managed to escape. Likewise, there were millions in the Crusade of Billions that had the will and faith to resist. However, most were then killed by their fallen allies, and the ones that escaped and survived were either shunned or outright executed by the Imperium, as the entirety of Quartus was declared Traitoris Extremis. It was overall a bad time. Now, does Khorne have a fuck-off huge Indominus fleet at his command that is ready to rip the galaxy apart? Not really. See, the murder curse is not genuine chaos corruption. It relies on making people insane and berserk, not actually making them willingly fall to Khorne. People with the murder curse will just attack each other, not form up into disciplined armies. Pilots will crash, ship captains will ram their ships into each other. It's basically that scene from Kingsman, but on a much wider scale. If you do manage to survive long enough, you may regain a little bit of sanity, but only enough to become like a rabid wolf that begins accepting other murder cursed people into your pack. So basically, the vast majority of the fleet killed itself, whilst the survivors are roaming around and attacking shit at random. Yes, the murder cursed people can be taken into Khornite warbands as berserker units, however the murder curse was more so a nuke rather than a mass recruitment drive for Khorne. Either way, it did feature thousands of Primaris becoming Khornite Traitor Marines, which is pretty spicy, but don't expect the next Khornite combat patrol to have them in it. Now the crazy part is that is all the lore we currently have regarding direct Traitor Primaris. However, there are a few other ticking time bombs. Firstly, the Alpha Legion are finding it pretty hilarious to fuck with the Primaris, tricking them into committing traitorous acts without them realizing it until it's too late, i.e. misdirecting them to attack stuff they think is traitor but is actually loyalist. The lore has made it clear that the first wave of Primaris were quite naive, which makes sense, and experienced high casualties due to their lack of experience with dealing with the Traitor Legion's bullshit. However, you can't really just call them traitors, just a bit naive and falling for some cheeky Alpha Legion pranks. There are also some new Primaris only chapters that are heavily implied to have been created using Traitor Gene Seed. Gilliman specifically told Khorne not to make these, but Khorne did it anyway, as he is a believer in the fact that it wasn't actually a Space Marine's gene seed Seed, which makes them more inclined to be loyal or traitor, it is actually their Primarch, which is further proven by the existence of Marines like Nathaniel Garrow, Garviel Loken, and pretty much all the fucking Grey Knight founders. So why waste the talents of those gene seeds? Suspected Primaris chapters using Traitor gene seeds include the Sons of the Phoenix, as well as the Covenant of Fire. I'll let you guess which Traitor Legion they're suspected to be descendant from. I mean, fuck, the Minotaurs are more or less confirmed to be Iron Warrior successors, and they're about as loyal as it gets, so there you go. Fabius Bile has also collected numerous Primaris samples, including taking the gene seed from Alpha Primus, the first ever Primaris and their original prototype, and he finds them to be fascinating, so he's probably cooking up his own demented version. So in summary from this, the Primaris are not immune to chaos, however they are significantly more resistant to it than the Marines from the Heresy were. Instances of them becoming traitors were either through getting anal fucked by a god, or just becoming renegades because they didn't do what they were told. We are yet to see a Primaris Marine, of his own volition and will, non-coerced, say fuck the Emperor, hell chaos. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, I am curious. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up some Natty Plus subs, 20% off using my link or code Majorkill. This shit slaps. Hit the subscribe button, hit the real subscribe button for more traitorous content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.